Sinners, directed by Ryan Coogler, follows the story of the smokestack twins, played both by Michael B. Jordan, as their nightclub gets overrun with vampires. So, this is one of my most anticipated films of 2025. It, beyond Mickey 17, was the most I was looking forward to something in the new year, and I really feel like we've just had a drought recently. I've been going to the movie theaters actively more often. I feel that in 2024 I missed out on a couple of things that I should have seen or wanted to see, and I like having a wide variety of movies to talk about for you guys. But for some reason this year there just hasn't been anything sticking. Every once in a while we get stuff that really comes out of nowhere. It shocks me. It ends up being surprising in some sort of way, but that really hasn't happened a lot in 2025. In fact, there's been more disappointment than I can really name of right now. So I really needed something major. I needed something really to push the needle, and Sinners was just that. This movie was awesome. It hit every note I wanted it to. There is so much to chew on, and getting Ryan Coogler away from this big Marvel machine, the franchise machine that he's been stuck in since Fruitville Station, really paid off here. I've always believed in him. I've always felt that he is one of the strongest, most visionary filmmakers that we have working today, and the fact that he was able to branch out like this and make something that is so clearly a passion project for himself paid off in absolute dividends. First and foremost, I want to commend the performances here. I think Michael B. Jordan obviously works really well with Ryan Coogler. They have this relationship with each other that always creates magic. Obviously, with the first Creed film, the Black Panther films, he works so well with this director that I love that they were both able to take on this very ambitious project together and absolutely knock it out of the park. Specifically with Jordan, he plays the Smokestack Twins in a very, very nuanced and different way. I think that he takes two completely different approaches for both of the characters and somehow has chemistry with himself. We've seen that before, obviously, with an actor playing two different characters, and we've seen them, work well off of themselves. But here it feels so natural that you kind of forget every single time they're both on screen together. They are so distinct and have separate energies and body language and dialogue that you really only see them as two different characters, but obviously as brothers, not just Michael B. Jordan playing two different versions of himself. So I really want to commend him. Maybe my favorite performance of his of all time. It's very, very hard, especially with that first Creed movie. I would have to rewatch that to really have a firm stance on that. But anyways, I really loved his both of his turns in this. I think Miles Catton really did a great job here with the lead performance. His cadence and portraying very youthful naivete within this situation was really great, but he also had a lot of charisma. You could tell that he wasn't quite as young as he was portraying. Like, he had a lot more to offer, and I really liked that. And all of the supporting cast was really fantastic. Haley Steinfeld was a little bit odd. I think that she was bringing too much of a almost theatrical presence to her performance. It's not that it was bad. I just think that the material and the character she was given was kind of a little too cartoony for the mood of this movie. A thick and dense atmosphere is felt throughout this entire movie. I really loved the establishment of the setting first before we get to the chaos and the carnage. This is a very long movie. It's not length long, it is, I think, a little over 2 hours. It could be a little more. I'm not 100% sure on that. But it takes you on a very long journey. It shows you every beat of the day that these characters are going through. And I think by doing that, they really capture a sense of community and chemistry between each of the main cast before shit starts hitting the fan. I really loved the shots of the open cotton fields. I think that was fantastic. The driving shots through those were really great at setting the mood. I think the way they introduce each character is very it's something you don't see a lot. They're very specific, and you notice them right away, and I think that was great. I think that's a great motif to use. And the overall cinematography here, you can always see it in Coogler's studio films. There are so many shots in those where you're like, wow, I was not expecting that from like a Disney Marvel superhero film, or I wasn't expecting that from a Rocky spinoff. But he has such an eye for visual storytelling by setting the mood so well that I was on absolute full display here, and I think that it's going to be one of the major things people take away from Sinners. The juxtaposition of kind of a more period piecey, community driven film to a monster splatter fest is great. A lot of people are saying it's reminiscent of From Dusk Till Dawn, and I can totally see that. That kind of transition is pulled off maybe even better in this film, just because you get to spend so much time with these characters that you genuinely get invested in each of their separate relationships and how they, what kind of role they play within this little community, that when stuff starts to go bad, you can really tell how, you really buy into the way each of them are reacting to it. The horror here is top notch. This movie was so much fun once it started to get going. I think that the vampires were a perfect foil for these characters. They really are creepy and have a spirituality about them that just really gets under your skin. The way they're able to manipulate people and work over people's emotions as if they really are still that person, not an undead mythical creature. I think that was a really great way to take the vampire genre. I'm a huge fan of that genre. They're probably my favorite subsect of horror, and to see them done this well in a setting like this is fantastic. I really just ate it up. I also want to commend the ending. I feel like this movie really knew how to conclude such an epic tale. I guess, like, this movie feels like a fable. It feels like something passed down from generation to generation, and that is also a major theme without the film. How art and music can really bring people together, and how also living the lifestyle that the Smokestack twins do can inevitably catch up to you. Has a lot to do with faith, with different cultures. It's a very dense movie in terms of its themes, and I wish it would have explored some of those themes a little more deeply. Instead of we get a lot of character moments in this movie, which isn't a bad thing. Like I was saying before, I really liked the sense of community built up in this film, but I do believe that at points we could have done more of the heavy lifting instead of just relying on character interactions. If you could switch a couple of the sequences around, you know, cut out a lot of Haley Steinfeld's parts and maybe add a little more horror, a little more, excitement towards the end, pushing up that a little bit more, and then really delving into those themes of art and music and traditions passed down from generation to generation, I really think this would have been an absolute slam dunk. And not to say that this movie wasn't a home run. I really love everything that the cast, Ryan Coogler, the entire crew is doing here. I just think that it can be a little overstuffed at times. This movie it can be dragging its feet in certain places. It is a very long, very not arduous, but it is a marathon to get through, but it's so worth it in the end that you end up not really noticing those points where you're kind of sitting like, okay, we could have done without that, or okay, this moment didn't need to be in the film. So I do have to knock points off against it for that, because it was something I kept noticing over and over again. Like, this is definitely a crowded movie, but if it without that, and those things are really minor issues, this movie rocks. It absolutely will tear the house down in a theater. It was great seeing it with a bunch of people who were excited to be there in XD. It is a true movie theater experience, while also delving into things that not a lot of filmmakers of that kin are willing to go into. So I really respect the hell out of Sinners. It did not disappoint. I think that Honestly, anyone could love this film because it has that mainstream appeal to it while also, having something to chew on way after you watch it. So, with that being said, I'm going to give Sinners a really strong 4 out of 5, teetering on a 4.5 out of 5. I would have to rewatch it again. Easily one of my favorites of the year so far. I really loved this thing. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of Sinners in the comments. I would really like to know some of your theories, any, what you felt about the film in any way. Please let me know in the comments. If you're liking what you're seeing, drop a like on the video, subscribe, and I will see you with the next review. Thank you so much.